Looks like we're up and running. Let me explain myself. It dawned on me when I had to go at the live broadcast last time, because I don't have to connect direct to the internet, it's all done via the airwaves, the simple method. Excuse the noise, but we got an absolute gale blowing again. You'll see all the plants vibrating in the background where the walls are shaking. Having a bit of a blow today. But to do a live broadcast now, turn laptop on, load a couple of bits of software, tweak YouTube to put sensible title in, that sort of stuff, yeah? Plug camera in, set camera up, press go. Now I don't have to do anything else now, apart from be in it, obviously. I don't have to do anything else. YouTube is now taken over and is going to do everything for me. Now, okay, I can't edit this video and put nice pop-ups and pictures of blooms like I do sometimes. I can't do any of that. It's just going to run. I don't have to do anything. So when this video is finished, I turn everything off and I'm done. And YouTube will just do everything. Normally, I have to hold the camera and film or set it up, whatever, but for a half-hour video, it takes half hour to film it. Yeah? Then when I've finished, that's got to be downloaded onto the computer. I've got to load up my editing software, position everything where I want it, put titles in, this, that and the other. Then I've got to render it. For a half-hour video, that takes about 40-45 minutes. Then I've got to sign into YouTube, do some bits on YouTube, load the video into YouTube. Yeah? With the live video, all I've got to do is turn this on. That's it. So I'm cheating. Yes, I'm cheating. Oh, there's people. Oh, morning, Insa. I got a box for you soon. I'll let you know. I'll do it officially eventually, but your bid got what you wanted, and there will be some other stuff thrown in. Stuff that I don't want, and you probably do. Right, so that's that. Good morning. Oh, Todd's up. What are you doing up? All right. Various people are here. Good morning. Right, now, I'm not chatting to you lot. I'm here to work, hence the title of the video. I'm going to water my mounts today, and that is the video. So there might be silences where I'm just getting on with it. And the whole idea is to get on with it. Now, my mixed up feed, which is in there, which somebody's bound to ask, that is my MSU feed, TDS 145 and pH of 6.5. So no additives, nothing, just feed. The sound change when I walk in there, it's echoey out here and it goes all muffled in there. So I start with a bit, not a lot. The only thing I've got to be very careful about is I've got some mounts here that's right above the computer. So we won't let them drip there. So I put a small amount in and I water my mounts. And obviously everything's going to get the same. If I've got aerial roots, then they get some as well. And then those just go over there to drip, basically. And this one's still very slightly damp, so that's good. Not dry, slightly damp. Now this one's very heavy on the moss, as are the Oncidium types that are mounted. So this time of year I don't go too mad pouring too much on them. I just like to keep them damp. Not absolutely wringing wet like I do in the summer. I presume you can actually see what I'm doing, yes? Oh, that's good. So all I'm doing is talking along with what I'm doing, but eventually I will have said all I need to say. And every now and again I will have a look at the comments, but if they're rattling past at Todd, I'm always up. Yeah, do you know, I believe that. Bet he sleeps in that polytunnel. Well, I must admit this morning I was woken up with a poorly tum. I needed to go to the aforementioned relatively quickly. Let's just leave it at that. You don't want the detail, do you? And when I'd done whatever I needed to do, I came back and I thought, well, I wonder if it's time to get up yet. And it was 3:15 in the morning. And I thought, I am not getting up at this time of day. So I went back to bed and tried to go to sleep and tried and eventually did. And then unfortunately I woke up late. So I've sort of lost an hour today. I normally get up around, well, it varies, but I'd say it averages about 5:30. That's my normal getting up time, and I'm happy with that. I don't complain. Since I go to bed about 9 o'clock, 9:30, so I've had more than enough sleep. But yeah, that's, I don't know what the problem was. I didn't eat anything unusual last night, or drink anything unusual, or any excess, or everything was just normal last night. What's happening over here? As I say, I'll try and keep on the keep my eye on the comments. Oh, I can't promise anything. Lindsay's having a laugh. I bought a banana plant. Do you know, when I looked at that, I'm slightly dyslexic, especially if I try and read quickly. I thought it said I bought a banana split. I thought, well, were you up in the middle of the night as well? Feed and water well for lots of bananas. Yeah, you'll be lucky. I'm not too keen on bananas, I must admit. I'll eat them. Do you know what? As a kid, come on Roger, get on with your work. As a kid, a treat was a banana sandwich that parents used to make for their kids. Talk about heavy on the bloody sugar. Which was basically mashed up banana with lots of granulated sugar added to make it like, give it a crunch, and then made into a sandwich. Real healthy living that was, wasn't it? Not. I'm getting a bit low here. I'll have a top up. Yeah, some of the things I sort of think back that we used to get fed as kids, but there was a difference, yeah? Now, a kid nowadays would highly likely to be sat staring at some sort of screen for most of their day. We weren't. We were charging around, climbing trees, running up and down hills, cycling everywhere, jumping in and out of rivers and having a swim. We weren't exactly stationary. So a bit heavy on the sugar in those days was probably far less damaging than it is for some nowadays. I don't think it's so much the diet that messes people up nowadays, it's the usage of it. In other words, you're chucking stuff in there and then not using it up. Whereas as kids, we were on the go all the time. Literally. We used to have breakfast, go off on our bikes, and come home either when it got dark or when we got hungry again. We're out all day. There's something about being in fresh air as well that is healthy in itself without going into what people eat, what we do all day long. They're done. Look over here, see what's going on. Well, we're going on about bananas now. I'll let you get on with it. Is your prima donna flowering? Yes. Oh, there's the camera. The camera's miles away. Yes. Not fully open yet, but yes. I don't want too many of those distractions. I have got a lot to do today, I really have. What's happening is the sudden realisation that because of circumstances that are going to happen this weekend, my time might not be my own. And I do have 2 talks to do. And one of them I can get away with not doing, which is my talk to the Garden Society type people. I can get away with running with the one I've already got, even though I'm not too keen on it. I'd rather update it. It's more of an update than a create from scratch. I just need to change some of the pictures. I'm not going to change much of the format or the layout of it. It's just that some of the pictures I got off the internet are very poor quality, and I'd like to get some better ones in there, if I can. Now, hang on, we've reached the one that we don't water. We water separately. It's the one that's highly likely to have a virus. Although I'm still on the fence with it. The blooms certainly made it look as though it has. And then it promptly decided to produce 4 new growths all at once. It doesn't really say I'm virus, does it? If it's managing to produce and grow on 4 new growths. But it'll be the quality of those new growths and subsequent blooms. If the next set of blooms have got bad colour break, and then in the bin it goes. But I'm going to have to wait a while for that. And in the meantime, I've got to look after it, obviously. But I do try and keep it separate as best I can. It's not a science. My little Psychopsis roots are starting to push on now. I've got a feeling this is going to grow better than the ones I had before, and it'll be the first time I'll have ever grown a Psychopsis spike, if I get one, obviously. All the others I bought with a spike on, so I've never actually seen one grow from scratch. That Alba one I had, the one that had no reds or deep colours on it, it was just yellows and creams. Quite an attractive bloom, but certainly not as nice as the full-blown colour form. That started to grow a spike once and then promptly aborted it. Then the plant died anyway, so it didn't matter. That's probably why it aborted the shoot. It didn't have the strength there. But it's a Psychopsis is something I would always want to have. I find those blooms fascinating, attractive, and the fact that once you get a spike and get it to bloom, they just keep on coming, one after the other. But they do like it a bit warmer than it is in the winter in here. It's funny actually, I went up a degree this winter. I went from 12 to 13. And although that doesn't sound a lot, that could be the difference between some of the warmer growers stopping dead and starting to suffer quite badly, and just slowing right down and not stopping dead. That's the theory, isn't it? 1 degree, but I don't go up too high or my winter resters will start objecting and not blooming, or blooming poorly, let's put it that way. I put a high importance on those. I may change in the future. They are my favourites, but there's very few of them have long-lasting blooms, so they're on my list of criteria. They don't fulfil the whole list. They don't have long-lasting blooms, but some of them certainly make up for it with scent. Right, it level's nice and low now. All I'm after is getting the water down low so that I've got just enough to do this one. And it's still pushing on its 4 growths. That's debatable. Now I know you're all going to say that this isn't really separated, because I'm going to carry on using everything that I'm using now. But I don't let that drip on anything else, it drips on the floor. And I chuck away the last little bit of water. So I've emptied it. Now I haven't washed it out and sterilised it, but I have emptied it. That's as good as it gets. Right, what's going on over here? It's difficult. The trouble is I've got wet hands. I can't really scroll back up and have a look at the stuff that's going on. Killed the kingy atom yet. My second bud. Fun to watch Psychopsis spikes growing. They grow like a rocket. Well, that's good to know. As I said, I had one that only got about ½ an inch and then just rotted. It's good to know they grow quickly. I know once they get to their blooming size, that's basically it. They don't grow anymore, they just carry on blooming. They are extending very slightly because each bud extends the... I'll be glad when this thing's gone. It's just the type of space it takes up for me is the type of space I normally call in the way. Oh, sounds like it's going to rain as well now. Oh, wonderful. Well, that'll be a nice change, won't it? Half the country's underwater at the moment. That's just what we need, some more rain to top it all up. Get the rivers right up over their banks again. Yeah, we need that, don't we? Right, that's a mini break at that point. Because basically I've got to hang this lot up now so that I've got some room. Oh, I missed a... Oh, one of the Phalaenopsis right up in the corner there. That's the Japonica, my only species. Starting a new leaf. Ooh, goody. Doesn't grow this well for me, but it does push out a spike every now and again. Right, that one's got nothing underneath it, so the little mounted Phalaenopsis can go straight back where they live because they don't drip on anything. They've got nothing below them. They're okay to just go back. Ugh. Right, if I dry my hands, now I can have a look back up the comments. I've had a bit of coffee. I suspect that Insa and Martin are just chatting amongst themselves and nobody else is getting a look in. You know what you two are like when you get together. Ah, mental block. Just had a total, because this laptop is strange because it's got what's called a tracker pad. Now normally on a laptop you get a pad where you can move your cursor around, and then there's two buttons which equate to your left and your right click buttons on your mouse. Now, this one hasn't. It's just a tracker pad. But the bottom left and bottom right hand corner are the equivalent of those two buttons. They're just not visible, but they are there. So it obviously has a tilting mechanism slightly. But you can just tap it and get the same effect, and it's just a matter of getting used to it. But to scroll, I've got to find where the hell my cursor's gone and hold the button down, which doesn't exist, and scroll back up a bit. Right, let's have a look then. I've got back as far as Insa saying good morning, Martin saying hello to Erica. I'm talking about some cinnamon. Well, I'm not going up anymore. Hang on, let's have a look. I'll go up a little bit more. Right. Got back to the banana plant saga now. Roger needs text-to-voice software. Whatever that is. Oh, I see. Yeah, I don't know how that would hook up, because it would have to try and link to the comments that are going on there. Well, I think what the idea is that as I'm busying away, the comments actually talk out loud rather than just be words on a screen. I've never seen anyone do that. I don't know whether that's possible. Right, where are we? Prima Donna. U2? Not on my laptop. I'd be quite happy to have U2 on my laptop with a different singer. That singer's never done a thing for me. I do like the guitarist, and I quite like the music. How's your illegal substance growing? I don't know who Martin's talking to, but I haven't got any. One dead, two growing on. I'm going to look and see who that was. Any tips on coelogeny repotting? Yes, do it when there's roots growing. Same as anything else really, but some of those, like my Moriana, that seriously objects to root disturbance, and so does cristata, and I suspect quite a few object to root disturbance. So the idea is, if the roots you disturb are going to fail or stall, they need to be very quickly replaced by new ones. Now that applies to all orchids, but some don't object that much to being disturbed. Some actively enjoy it, like the Paphiopedilums. They love being repotted. They seem to suddenly take a burst afterwards. But yeah, go steady with some of the coelogenes. Myophyllum gives kikis, was hoping for buds. Possibly not cold enough, but that's only a theory. Difficult to say. Usually find with those long cane, annually deciduous types, if they don't cool down enough, they don't really go into a proper rest. So they're not really resting, so they don't trigger the blooms as well or at all. Top of the morning to everybody. Hello Thomas, or Thomas M. Thomas. One of those two. JD's here. Somebody I know. So I say people do join in that I don't necessarily know. Right, back on the head. Now this is the hard bit, putting stuff back to create some more space to do some more watering. Some of these are quite difficult to get into their position. They don't go back in necessarily the same order, they just go back in wherever I'm standing at the time. And that's where they go. But they do, under normal circumstances, go back in the same place, as I've got that in sort of in my head, having made the decision as to where they actually live. Right, now the dodgy bit is over the top of the laptop. Gently. And my little Victoria Regina has actually grown a few roots. Cane is still growing as well. God, talk about slow. Oh, come on. Still after a good one of them. Get one there. I think I might kidnap Sarah. That's the easiest way. The best Victoria Reginas I've ever seen are at Burnham's nursery. And when they're in bloom, they all come out together in the orchid paradise and look absolutely stunning. And I've tried bribery and that didn't work. So I think what I need to do is just kidnap Sarah and say, you're not going home until I get one of your Victoria Reginas. Come on. I don't think that's going to work somehow. I'm going to have to move the laptop because I've got no confidence that these are not going to drip, and the laptop is right back up against the wall. Just drag that forward a little bit. Last thing I want is drips. Move the screen away a bit as well. That. That should do. Now if they do drip, they drip down the back. Actually on the screen. The first thing that one, I just put one back. First thing it did was drop 2 drips. So now I moved that just in time. See, when I set this lot up first thing this morning, I had the tripod on the corner of my shelf here, right up in the roof, so that it was pointing down at this sort of angle. But there was a downside, which is aesthetic. Basically, the picture consisted of the top of my head most of the time, showing off the fact that it's a bit thin on top, shall we say. So it wasn't the best view. Yeah, that's the job I moved that. That is actually dripping. Right, is everything back where it goes? No. Put these over here. On quite nicely now. Good stuff. This is the point where things get looked at. Yeah. You might think they get looked at when I take them down. They tend to get looked at as I put them back. That's a recent mount. That one. It's got, I can tell straight away. It's got a totally different type of moss on it, and it's live moss as well. See, this stuff looks like live moss, but it's not. This is the dead stuff, but it gets covered in algae. But if you lift it up, there's the brown colour underneath. It's not live. Although sometimes it does grow on occasions. It gets the nickname zombie moss. Right, are we there yet? Did I water these earlier on? Yes. It's my two rather poorly Cuthbertsoniis, and they're living in quite deep shade at the moment. And they're getting watered every day. Right, done, 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 done. Nothing missed. Telumnia is next. Ugh. Now, because of the type of plant they are, I was just going to pour coffee over them. That probably is not what they want. Because of the types of plants they are, I don't mind if these get dripped on. So these get watered next and put low down. And if they get the odd drip on them, they don't actually mind. So they live on the next shelf down. And they sit there right until the end. So I don't bother putting these back, because if I put them back, they're in the way. So they go back last. Dead leaf. Gentle pull on a dead leaf. If it comes off, it was ready to come off. If you tug the plant off the mount, it wasn't. They'll come off when they're ready. But I like to help them if they're nearly ready. But no tugging and jerking and tearing. Definitely no tearing. So little spikes coming on quite nice. Chinos. What's going on over here now? Waffle master at work. I have a certain set of skills. I will find you. And even if I did have them, which you'll never know, load if I'd be bothered to use them. Right, Telumnia is done. Now we move up here. Lousy Latorias. That one's done nothing since I last looked. And I don't think it is going to do anything at all until such time as it gets warmer. It's just waiting for that. The little Aberrans is okay, sort of. It's growing incredibly slowly, but it has managed to throw a bloom out. That's a recent acquisition. That was a gift from Lynn. Bit that fell off, I think, when she was sorting hers out. What are you going to do? No sign of life at the base of that one. Nothing. It may make it. We say don't give up on dendrobiums. I just have a habit of just... See, now if you look at this one, that's a nice new growth on that one. No, it's not. The leaf's already going yellow. It's going to fail. It's not going to grow. Might have to wait for yet another one on that. It's a shame, actually. I was hoping that was its bursting back into life effort, but obviously not. Oh, a little small cattleyas up on this section as well. They live on the top of the hanging rack, so at the moment they're not many inches down from the roof, which is the best light in here, -1, because they're facing away from the direction the sun shines from. So although they're near the roof and get very bright light, it's not the brightest light. The brightest light would be around the other side of that rack, not facing into the grow room, but facing away to the outside wall. That's the brightest area. Trouble, there's a lot of clanging noises here, but I used to use a glass, and banging a glass on the sides of a glass bowl made a lot more noise until the glass broke, and then it stopped. And then we had to spend an awful long time clearing up. Right, so the only one on there that is facing the brightest light around the other side is Mr. Hairy. How are your spikes doing? Oh, they've moved on quite a bit. A few dead leaves, yeah, a couple, not many. It is the sort of time it would still be dropping leaves. I'll see if I can get those spikes in the camera, in view. All here. So, just having a look. Most of them are single bloom spikes, but one of them's a double. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Looks like there will be 8 blooms. Now this one gets a trickle. This one doesn't get absolutely soaked. This just gets a bit. One of those that should be drier in winter. If you let it dry off too much, I've known them to die, which is not really what we want. Right, that's everything up there done. Let me move over here. The only things getting watered over here are non-resting type, so there's not much to do on this far shelf. I'm coming back into life now, just about. When I bought this is a Laelia crossed with a Broughtonia. And when I got mine, somebody else, who I can't remember, also bought some of the same plant, probably from the same source, and theirs took off and started growing almost straight away, and mine didn't. Mine stalled when I mounted it, and it hasn't done much since, but it is now growing some roots. Little bulbophyllum we mounted the other day. I don't expect any signs of life on that for a little bit. It'll need to settle down into its new environment. Several of these Lodigesii kikis are now coming into life. Coming back into watering and feeding. Might kick them back into life yet again. Actually get them going a bit quicker. That way they'll have a long growing season. Now my little Cattleya cernua is totally resting at the moment. It did that last year as well. It bloomed and then did nothing for I think 4 or 5 months. It did absolutely nothing. Which in theory, if it's not doing anything and not growing, does it really need watering and feeding? Well, yes. Because I don't know at what point it's going to start growing the new growths, and I don't want it shrivelling up because it's not getting anything. That huffing and puffing is because these are very prone to leaf spotting. So if you leave spots of water, especially if it's got feed in it, they tend to get brown spots, which doesn't look very pretty. So we don't leave the water on there, we puff it off. You want to start a new growth yet? This is Genmanii that bloomed a while ago. The eye is just starting to swell at the base. Oh goody. I always sort of think that once a Cattleya blooms, in theory it's going to do it every time a new growth matures, or at the appropriate time for that type of Cattleya. It's just getting it to do it once. And I mean, this produced 2 growths in my care after I got it, neither of which bloomed, and then the third one did. So in theory we should get blooms. And when this one does come back into growth, I've now got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The 8th bulb will be growing. I'm going to cut the rhizome on that one and see if I can get it to fire up a bit farther back on the mount, because it's a linear rhizome, just forms a straight line. Yeah? So by cutting it about there, if I can get a new growth out here, then I've got it going in 2 directions. It might not work, but it's got to be worth a try. It can do no harm. As long as the front bit, the actively growing bit, has got sufficient bulbs to form a plant, like you would do if you divided it naturally, then it should work. The worst that can happen is it doesn't work and the back bit doesn't produce any growths. You're not doing much, are you? That's the Ancilia africana. No signs of life on that yet. But not, I mean, there's nothing wrong with it, it's just not growing at the moment. And I suspect it's a bit cold for that one. Being African, one would expect that to need a fair bit of warmth, I would think. Right, I've only got a little bit more to do and then I can get on with some other stuff. Coffee? Let's see what's going on here. Just to dry my hands. I suspect you're all just talking amongst yourselves. I want one of those Catlatonia why nots. It's funny, mine, I was just going to say mine weren't expensive, I didn't pay for mine, they were gifts. Both of mine were in the big box, so they're both gifts from Beatrix. So I'm not going to read it out loud. You lot can see what I'm reading, so you don't need me to read it back to you, do you? Best time of year to repot now, beginning of spring. Keep your eye on your plants. If there's some sign of movement, you can get on with it. If there's no sign of movement or life yet, it might be worth waiting a bit. And I still say the plant is the best thing, the best indicator. But if you need to do a plant just because the media's got old, you know, rather than it's grown out of the pot or anything like that, then if in doubt, probably spring is the best time. It's going to have a growing season ahead of it, but that might not be the best time for some of the really cool growers if you know you're going to get higher temperatures in your growing season, like I do. My best repotting time for things like Masdevallias is probably in the autumn, because then they've got a whole set of cooler months to get their roots going again and settle down prior to the stress of the heat. So it doesn't always be the same thing. Yeah, everybody's just chatting to themselves. I'll come back and have a look at those in a minute. I've only got a few more left to do, then I'll be stopping anyway. As I said, the actual resting ones are missing this run. But it won't be long now, and they won't be missing the run. A few of the resting ones, like this giant, because it's still got a few canes that are still growing, they managed to grow on through the winter. This one will be included this time, even though it got a flush last time. So it's not getting absolutely soaked, just a little bit. It'll just run down and soak into the moss. Bits of the moss might not even get wet, but just a bit on there. And we've got this thing. You'll have to make your mind up soon, Insa, because that long cane is not going in the box. The long cane is coming off there, but you'll need to decide, do you want those kikis left on or separated? Because looking at the length of them, they are that long. If they were mounted hanging down, the rest of the growth's at the top of the plant. But you have to make your mind up what you want me to do. I can take the cane off and leave the kikis on. I can take the cane off a bit higher and take the kikis off and put them in separately for you to either put on that mount or put on a separate one, up to you. But, because the kikis are rooted, or have roots, so they're rooted, I always water those kiki roots. They always get a good soaking. So in theory they are used to getting wet, as though they've been rained on. So they're not just ordinary aerial roots. They're aerial roots that have been wetted every time the plant gets the setting. That is a dryer in winter, that one, rather than a proper rester. Just checking, and this cane is still growing, so that's still pushing on. This one I think is now finished, that's decided to stop. The two up the top, they were short ones. That was when it didn't have a good root system, so they finished some time ago. But they provide a bit of support. They're not shriveled or anything, and they've got leaves. So you might have to do something a bit strange with that one, because it is fundamentally a lithophyte, and anything that grows on rocks, you'll find it incredibly difficult in the orchid world to find out what sort of flipping rocks it grows on. Does it grow on sort of limestone outcrops? Does it grow in granity sort of places? You know, does it grow on soft sandstone type areas? What sort of rocks? Because that would help you look after it. But if it's a limestone outcrop type grower, then that's going to need a lot more of the calcium type base to it than other orchids would need. And mounting it might not be the best thing, because a mounted orchid is always going to have a slightly acidic base, either very little or moss, if you see what I mean. And wood and moss tend to be more acidic than stone would be, so you'd have to adjust your feed and stuff. That's it. That's the lot. Ugh. Right, now I'll have a last look at this set of stuff. Yeah, all the rest of the stuff, there's still, you know, I mean, there's a shed load of mounts that I haven't even got down. That's because they are resters that, although I'm introducing some feed and some water, not every time, not yet. Yeah? And this is their missing out run. They'll be included in the next run. So, not this time, basically. Right, let's go. Come on, memory. It just seems strange to press the corner of a square thing to get something to hold so that I can push a scroll bar back up. It's just not natural for me, I'm afraid. It's not something I normally do. And I'm only just learning that you don't actually have to press it, you only have to touch it. There's lots of just gentleness with this. Hey, Dibby. How's Switzerland? Done any skiing yet? Broke your neck? Oh, I miss skiing, I really do. It's just not practical anymore. I used to go on, when I worked in Wales, there were a group of people that I worked with, youngsters basically. I was the old man, I was like their dad when we went. And they insisted on trying to get their dad drunk. Didn't work. They were gone, long gone before I was. They didn't practice as well as I did, perhaps. But I missed those trips because they were organised. All I had to do was hand over the money, and it was all done for me. You know, transport arranged, getting to Gatwick, doing the plane. Everything was just done, and you got there, and first thing in the morning you went and got all your kit. You know, it was just all organised. I used to love all that. But it's not practical anymore. First of all, I'd probably break my flipping neck. And in those days, if I fell over, I laughed and I bounced. That might not be the case nowadays. You don't bounce so good when you get older. You tend to break. But it's something I do miss, I must admit. I used to like that. Everybody says, oh, what do you want to go on a holiday where it's freezing cold for? It's not cold when you're skiing, trust me. I used to have a big, thick top that you come out of the hotel in the morning, zip, scarf like that, get your kit on, get up the lift, get off and start skiing, and after about 5 minutes you have to pull over and stop, zip, scarf off in the pocket, down like that. And at times that top used to come off and get tied around my waist, short sleeve t-shirt. It's not cold when you're skiing. It's only cold when you're walking around not skiing. Once you get at it, it's good stuff. Right, where are we then? Let's go back down here, see what's going on recently. Psychopsis spikes, we've done all that, haven't we? People saying hello, good stuff. Oops. I still haven't got the hang of this, getting this thing to slide nice and smooth like I do with my mouse. And obviously talking about Australia, yeah, the fires are out now, they got floods. It's just one thing after another, isn't it? I wonder what's causing it. Rhetorical question. I don't need to ask, I know exactly what's going on. And it's our fault, nobody else's. Although I do believe we're led down the paths that we have found ourselves at the end of now. We didn't do that consciously, we were led. You know, businesses, companies, procedures, governments have done all this while we were doing this. Well, now we're not doing it anymore. It's about time people woke up. We can see it. We know what's going on. It's like the Industrial Revolution in this country. Everybody wanted the results of it. Everybody wanted the production, the wealth that went with it for some, not for all. You know, everybody wanted all that. Nobody told us it was going to ruin things later. Yeah? Nobody told us there would be huge piles of rubbish in Wales that would crash down and bury a school with kids in. Nobody told us all that, did they? It just happened. Nowadays, we tend to know more about what's going on. Somebody's having eggs. I'm having egg white pancakes. Oh, that sounds good. Pancakes. I've had pancakes for years. Seems orchids in the States are as expensive as in Switzerland. Yeah, but the States is a little bit bigger for sharing purposes, you know, and the amount of growing that's going on, you know, it's like that. Switzerland's like this. And there's not a lot of growing going on. You don't get the huge big nurseries. They're also not part of the EU. Yeah? So anything from the EU that goes into Switzerland, I presume, has paperwork and stuff to do. I don't know for sure, but they may have special arrangements. Well, we're going to need some of them soon. So it seems. You're just all talking about breakfast, aren't you? Because I'm not having any. Somebody's having pork tongue sautéed with broccoli. Sorry, pork tongue sautéed with broccoli. That doesn't sound like breakfast to me. Still, that could be some other part of the world, couldn't it? Somebody's having tacos. Oh, God. It's all foodie now. We're on turtle soup going on here. Is that all you lot think about is food? I had some toast with some marmalade on it. What's the time now? 11:30. That was 4 hours ago. Since then I have had nothing, apart from a couple of coffees, of course. One of which needs to be replenished now. Oh, I just can't get used to grabbing hold of this and scrolling down. It moves so easily. Gotcha. Right, now we can get down towards the end and see what's going on. Boil your tongue slowly. Has somebody been bad-mouthing? Right. Yeah, it's all food now. Live chat hasn't frozen yet. It's not going to. Not with this laptop. There's nothing to stop this thing staying on full power. This is why I don't mind risking it now. Those days are now gone. It's not going to happen. The only reason a live broadcast is going to freeze up now is if there's a problem with the actual internet service itself, which does occasionally happen. We all know sometimes you just lose your internet service. It just goes off and comes back on after a while. But that's about the only thing that can stop it now. This is very powerful stuff. Beginning to think that I might actually start using this instead of my main computer. The only thing with it is, obviously I got when I got this laptop I went for the larger screen. This is the 17-inch thingy as opposed to 15.5, so this is a large screen. I don't need it specifically, but when you get into the gaming laptops they tend to be larger screens with much narrower bevels around the edge, so it's all screen, and it looks nice and it's so sharp. I mean, this is running at 120 kilohertz, not 60, so the actual screen is twice the quality. Not that I'm using it, doing a YouTube live broadcast. I don't need quality to do that, to just look at it. The only thing better to talk about than orchids is food. Let's get a wine. Not the right time of day for that though, is it? Okay, now this is, thanks for people who've joined in and chatted. That was good stuff, and I'm sorry I've missed most of it. I will have a look at it later, see what's going on, see if there's any direct questions aimed at me that I've totally missed, obviously. I'll deal with those. They can go in the Q's and A's, ready for Thursday, if there were any. I didn't notice any, I must admit. Now, the process now is I'll stop the live broadcast, yeah? So obviously you won't be able to type anything down the side anymore. And then YouTube will just do everything else, and it will take over that video, it will format it, and eventually, after some considerable time, it will appear as a normal video with my other videos, at which point you can watch it like a normal video. Yeah? So that's my video for today. I don't need to film anything now. Now you see what I'm getting at? It's a cheat, and it's a lazy way of producing a video. But I've also watered all my mounts. Yeah? So it's killing two birds with one stone, which leaves my afternoon free to get on with my talks, because I really do need to get on with them. Or I can just see my time being taken away from me, so I've got to avoid it. So anyway, thanks for everybody that's joined in. Sorry I haven't said hello to people individually, but that's how it goes. And I'll see you next time. Again, thanks for dropping by and joining in. Not a hiccup, not a pause, nothing. It's good stuff. Right, I'm stopping now, and I will see you again.